Welcome back to the Mackem in the Middle podcast after another Sunderland game. The third last game of the season, still two more to play. Plenty of points to play, plenty of twists and turns, I imagine, along the way. But it did finish 5-1 to Sunderland at home against Cambridge United. In a game, Michael, that you could argue was the best performance of the season.
It's not a stretch, is it? It's not a stretch to argue that. Some of the stuff we played, in some ways, it reminded me of the opening 20 minutes of the Shrewsbury game, just more consistent across the 90 minutes, where the passing was slick, the interplay was slick, everyone was on the same rim sheet. I can't even talk properly. The same page, and everyone was just working alongside each other. As simple as that sounds. Obviously, I'm sure we'll get on to the decisions later. The red card, I think, definitely to some extent impacted the results. But as I said to you off air before we started recording, that we've had games like the Accrington and Shrewsbury games down to 10 men, didn't win, so you only beat what's put in front of you. But yes, the performance itself was very good. Hopefully, that's the case in the next 5 games.
Yeah. And obviously, Dan, this was a must-win game, as they pretty much all are at this point. But even though you're going into a home game against a side that have nothing to play for, a side that on paper don't look like they're going to cause you too much trouble. Granted, I think they beat Wigan early in the season. But knowing, we have 3 games left going into this one, there was that little bit more sense of, I suppose, urgency there to start well in this game and, pretty much put the game to bed before the 95th minute this time.
Yeah, definitely, because these teams that have got nothing to play for now still are the ones that want to ruin your party. They want to be the team that'll be the reason you don't get promotion. So, in my opinion, they're harder to play than the top 6 teams at the moment, because the top 6 teams will be trying too hard and they could slip up. Whereas if Cambridge slip up, they don't really care. They've got nothing to lose. But if they win, then they ruin your promotion chances. But yeah, I think we could see the progress over the last couple of games. Where Shrewsbury, we had the first 20 minutes where we started really well and dropped off. Then Plymouth, we just couldn't get any final third quality. Our passing was shocking. Our through balls were shocking. The crossing was shocking, etc. And since then, in the prep to the game yesterday, it's like we've merged the two over a 90-minute period, and we just were absolutely dynamite yesterday. And for once, we've actually been able to get the ball in the back of the net and the passes right, which is something that we've been crying out for for most of this season.
Yeah. And obviously we'll get into the game, Michael, but just looking at the stats from the game, Sunderland dominated, probably more than they've dominated any game this season. I think 75% possession. I think there's only the Gillingham game, I think, where we had more possession over the 90 minutes. Could be wrong with that, but I think
Gillingham
it was.
we had 80%.
Yeah, I thought it was. But 28 shots, 11 on target, compared to their 1 on target, which obviously did end up in the goal. But there's been games that you go into, for example, Cambridge United or a Cheltenham or whoever, where you'd expect to dominate the game, but we don't really do much with the possession that we have in the games. And obviously, the early red card did help that. But even before the red card, there was a lot more urgency and kind of just danger when Sunderland had possession in this game.
Yeah, it's more general intensity, and I think Alex Neil touched upon that in his post-match interview. As always, speaks really well, but that was one of the points he alluded to, where you've had a lot of the territory, a lot of the possession, a lot of the play, basically. But often I'm always of the opinion that possession doesn't really mean that much if you don't do much with it. But to be fair, you're right that we were starting even before the red card. The pressing and intensity that we were doing in the early stages led to the red card. So they got sent off because so I think it was a Jones who plays for Cambridge. Basically, he got sent off because of the fact that we were pressing so high. So yeah, I mean that's the sort of thing we should be, especially while in this division. That's the sort of performance Sunderland should be putting in at home, really, especially against the sides that are mid-table or down the bottom. We should be, we should be like that against everybody, but especially those type of sides where you should be pressing them, you should be forcing them into mistakes. And as we've seen so many times, if we get a lead, especially nice and early as well, the crowd really gets on side, and from there it becomes very difficult for the opposition team to remotely have a sniff of getting anything out of the game. Obviously, we did concede the goal, but in general, when you do stuff like when you press, you create more chances. If you score an early goal, it leads to everything just working in your favour, and more times than not, we win those games.
Yeah. Well, Sunderland did make chances before the red card, but ultimately, I think most people would agree it was the red card that did change the game. And there seems to be a lot of people, to be honest, which does surprise me, that don't know the changes to the red card rule. There's some people who think if you're last man, it's automatically a red card. That isn't true, especially when it's out. If it's outside the box, I think that is true. But when it's inside the penalty area, that isn't true. Last man doesn't come into it. The only thing that comes into play, really, other than if it's just a very dangerous tackle, it'll be a red card anyway, is if the player making the foul has made any attempt to play the ball. If he has, then it's a yellow card, regardless whether it's a goal scoring opportunity or last man or whatever. If he hasn't attempted to play the ball, then it's a red card in the penalty area. It was deemed as a red card. It was definitely foul, Dan. I think even the Cambridge manager, agreed that it was a foul. Don't think anyone can really disagree with that. But the red card is very 50-50, I think. Because I think Ross Stewart's clever in the way that he does it. He gets across his man. The defender's nowhere near the ball because Stewart's in front of him. But can you say for definite that that defender's not trying to play the ball? What else can he do in that situation, really?
Well, regardless of what you can do and what you can't do, it's a very clumsy challenge. And unfortunately, it gave away a penalty. There's no arguments there. I mean, the only thing I guess he could do is instead of trying to close the ball down straight away, he maybe runs a yard towards his goal so that he can try and at least block the shot rather than collide with Stewart. But that's what you get from having such a good number 9. Well, I guess he's number 10 at the moment. But a good striker knows how to use his body well, and that's exactly what Ross Stewart did. With regards to the red card as well, I think, some League One referees wouldn't have even given that as a penalty. I think that's where we stand. Some will give it as a penalty. Some won't give a penalty, and some will give a penalty and a red card, like yesterday. So it was last man. Was it a clear denial of a goal scoring opportunity? I wouldn't argue that because Ross Stewart didn't have control of the ball, and let's be honest, his first touch is not great. So that first touch that he took to control, it could have gone over the crossbar.
Yeah, but
straight into the
ultimately,
keeper's hands. But
whether it was a goal scoring opportunity or not, that doesn't matter in terms of
no,
whether it's a red card or not.
but it was a harsh one by the laws of the books. Then yeah, it was a red card. It might seem harsh, but it was a last man challenge. And honestly, I can't really see him winning the ball. He can argue all he wants that he was making an attempt to play the ball or to defend the ball, but it was a very reckless challenge. I mean, he came running full steam into Stewart's body. Yeah, Stewart did sort of fall into him and position his body, so he did that, but it was just like a lost freight train. So can't really be too upset at the referee for that. Maybe more upset at himself. So, but anyway, it was how we were playing at that time. We were always going to score a first goal. It was just a matter of if. A matter of when, not if, and it just happened to come through a penalty. So we can't complain too much.
Yeah, I think with that red card, Michael, I think it's one of them that you can argue it's the wrong decision, you can argue it's the right decision, and I don't think you could say with 100% certainty either way that it was the correct decision.
Yeah, well, it's one of those when sometimes for me, the way that you define your view on these decisions is the side you're appealing from. So if you're a Cambridge fan or you're from Cambridge, you're probably more inclined to argue that's harsh. If you're to be fair, there's quite a number of Sunderland fans that I've said that didn't think it was a red. But more times than not, the team that ends up getting the decision in their favour is adamant that the decision was made correctly. So it's a difficult one. But yeah, I mean, you couldn't say I couldn't say one way definitively or the other. And I've watched that incident back about a good 3-4 times. I can't tell whether it was a red card or not. I think it was a penalty, but red card, that's certainly that's definitely debatable to a degree. But at the end of the day, we've been on the end of some ridiculous decisions, and even we've had a number of times where opposition players should have got sent off, didn't. And not saying it's an excuse that we don't win games, but it certainly does factor into it. So, you know what? In some ways, maybe it does swing in roundabouts, albeit it's not clear cut one way or the other.
Yeah. And obviously, once they went down 10 men, obviously it was a penalty. But between the red card and the penalty getting taken, I'd imagine there's a few thoughts, Michael, back to the games against Accrington and Shrewsbury, where if we miss this penalty,
yes,
this could be a game that finishes 0-0, or we lose 1-0 to a last-minute shot or deflection. But luckily, I say luckily, it was a fairly decent taken penalty from Ross Stewart. I don't think there was ever really any doubt that he was going to miss it. But he scored it, and had he not scored that, it could have been a very different game. And like I said, Cambridge could have made a sub earlier, get an extra defender on the pitch, make it difficult, play for the point. But that goal, scoring that penalty, was very important, I think, in this game of the game.
Well, in a lot of ways, the argument's always the cliche: the first goal's the most important one, and this one, and it was a case here. It just happened to be a penalty, but it was an important moment because it not only that it sets us on our way, it gets the crowd on side, and it almost kind of lifts an anxiety to a degree. You know for a fact that if that penalty's missed or it's saved, whatever it is, if we don't convert that one way or the other, Cambridge get a lift from it, and our players deflate a little bit, and the crowd starts to get anxious. And as you alluded to there, when we haven't beaten Accrington and Shrewsbury when they were both down to 10 men, that doubt starts to creep into your head. And as suddenly the stadium, unless we respond from missing that by taking the lead not long after that, it starts to become a much more tense atmosphere for me. So you're absolutely bang on. Scoring that penalty one way or the other, but not only for the outcome of the game, for Ross Stewart to hopefully get confidence going again, it was vital in more ways than one.
Yeah. But once we scored that penalty, Dan, I think with the way we were playing, the fact that it had gone down to 10 men, we were playing with confidence, playing with fluidity going forward. I don't think there was ever really any doubt after that goal that we were going to go on to win the game.
No, definitely not. And I believe now that even if we did miss that penalty, I still think we're now a team where we will turn a result into a win and we will capitalise on a red card, regardless of if we miss a penalty or not. I just feel like Alex Neil has turned this squad around and made them believe in themselves a lot more than maybe they used to. And you could see that throughout the whole game. Because, we could have gone 1-0 up, or we could have gone 2-0 up after the Embleton free kick and just played it out for the 3 points. And that would be it. That's what we used to do. We wouldn't really go and try and get more. We wouldn't really do much more than just set up defensively and see the game out. But Alex Neil has seemed to have turned us around and installed this bit of confidence in each player in their own abilities. And like Mark Bonner said yesterday in his reaction interview, it doesn't matter what change he could have made, it all would have been wrong because of how many attacking threats we had. So it just showed that we were looking to punish the team and be clinical, because looking at the table, that's probably the one thing that we were let down on, with goal difference. That's something which we built up and then we let it go again, and then we built it back up and then we let it go again and we got hammered. And we've not been able to recover ever since, just scraping 1-0, 2-0 wins recently. But this game was crucial in terms of that, because now we're joint best goal difference around the third, fourth, fifth teams, so that if it did come to the final game of the season, we all got the same result, it would be us in the playoffs because of that. So being clinical, being ruthless, still going at their throat even when they're already dead, just showed that that's our ambition now. That's our mentality, that we're not here to fuck about anymore. We're here to punish and take this into the playoffs exactly at the pace we need to be. Where other teams are falling off, we're going full steam ahead. And honestly, I would start to fear us now.
Yeah.
By the way, just to point out, at a very key time in the season as well.
Yeah, very much so. Second goal, though, Michael. I think it was Callum Doyle that won the free kick on the left-hand side. Again, possibly quite a cheap free kick to give away, to be honest. From a Cambridge point of view, was it a free kick? I don't know. But it was given, and Embleton takes it from pretty much on the, in line with the goal, and he scores directly from it. You can argue whether he meant it or whether he didn't mean it, but ultimately that doesn't matter. It went in. Sunderland went 2-0 up. But Embleton's a player that I've just never really been bothered by this season, especially. But he's been out the team for a while. He kind of, when he's played, he's had to prove a point and show why he should be in the team. And he's definitely been doing that the last few weeks. I think he's on 8 goals now this season. So although he probably isn't the standout player for Sunderland this season, he's definitely going a little bit unnoticed.
And in a way, that's a testament to how well he's done in a lot of ways, because we've obviously got the names like, your Patrick Roberts, your Alex Pritchard, your Nathan Broadhead, your Ross Stewart and all that. But and I'm with you. I think to a degree, Elliot Embleton, my biggest criticism earlier in the season was that I think he could have worked harder off the ball, and I didn't think he was chasing to try and get the ball as much as what I would have liked to have seen him do. However, you can't ignore the fact that recently he has been a lot better, and maybe it's me. I'm sure Daniel's going to love this. This seems to be very strikingly similar to Blackpool last year, where towards the end of the season he was starting to contribute with key assists, key goals, and if it ends the same way it did for Blackpool last year, yes, please. On the free kick itself, you'll find this funny. As the ball was coming in, right before it hit the back of the net, I thought, well, that's a shit free kick. Literally seconds later, it's 2-0. So it shows what I know about football, to be fair. But and then, and I'm sure if you asked Elliot Embleton, he'll say he definitely meant that. But you're right, Elliot Embleton starts someone who's becoming a bit unnoticed. To be honest, I think Sunderland's run at the minute is starting to go a bit under the radar of the pundits. But Elliot Embleton epitomises that. Again, he's getting key goals, key assists. He's giving key attributes to our recent success, if you want to call it that. So yeah, definitely under the radar, but keep it up.
Yeah. Well, at 2-0, it looked like Sunderland were pretty much just going to run away with the game, especially against 10 men. Playing well, one good goal and one clever play from Ross Stewart to win the penalty, and then, he put it away. But something like 30 seconds later, Dan, Cambridge pulled one back. Their first chance of the game and only chance of the game it turned out to be. Very poor from Sunderland to just let them play it through like that, straight from kick-off. I don't think Sunderland actually touched the ball between scoring and them scoring.
No, I couldn't believe it. I'd actually turned away. I went to make a drink, and I come back, and they'd scored. The ball was on the kickoff again. I was so confused. But looking back at the goal, I mean, I think that just shows the little bits of vulnerability we've still got. With such a young squad, we go 2 up and we lose our head slightly. We lose focus, which is another good thing. You know what? I'm sort of glad it happened in a sense, because now we know that we can't switch off. It's another learning curve, which is what I said against Shrewsbury when we had the poor patch where they brought it back to 2-2. That's another bit that'll give a lot of information and a lot of learning to these younger players, because this, for a lot of these players, this is their first full season, full stint at professional football, where they're in the squad week in, week out, playing 90-minute matches week in, week out. So they're not going to know as much about what teams can do when you're caught napping, when you're caught with lacks of concentration. So I'm glad that goal happened, because now we know that we can't switch off. That as soon as we score that goal, we have to go again. We have to make sure that everyone's doing their job, because it was sloppy defending. It was the ball on the right hand side. No one tracked that run into the wing. A simple cross. Lyndon Gooch didn't try to deal with it, but it was just out of his reach, and there was no one else there to help out. And the striker was free to just volley it into the goal. But we could have in previous years and months before Alex Neil, we would have conceded that goal, and then it would have been a stressful 90 minutes where maybe Cambridge would get a hint of blood that we're vulnerable again, but we didn't. We woke up again. We got slapped in the face. We switched on and we went for it. So it's another vital lesson to be learned, which is a very good thing with the timing of the season, because when we go into those playoffs, we can't afford anything like this. So let's get it out of the way now, when we're comfortable, and let's go into the playoffs full steam ahead.
Yeah, and obviously people talk about the red card as one of the most important parts of that game, Michael. But in a way, that Cambridge goal also changed the game because, for example, the Shrewsbury game where Sunderland went 2-0 up and just stopped playing. Realistically, for the rest of the game, we got away with it in the end with a very last-minute winner again, but went 2-0 up and stopped playing. That Cambridge got that goal so quick after we went 2-0 up meant that Sunderland didn't have the chance to even switch off again.
Yeah, well, that in a lot of ways was the crucial period of the game where, and for me, arguably the most crucial goal in the game from Sunderland's perspective is the third one, where the play. I mean, to be fair, like Daniel said, we didn't let our heads drop. We kept going again because I'm sure I wouldn't have been the only Sunderland fan when Cambridge scored, thinking, "Oh, for goodness' sake, here we go, another game against 10 men where we don't win." But to be fair, we didn't let that affect us. And to be fair, and like I said, that third goal, I know I'm kind of getting ahead here, but that third goal I think would have killed Cambridge's mood because you've got back in the game. Yes, you got 10 men, but you've got back to 2-1, one goal away from getting a result, and then you go and concede the third, and you're 2 goals down again. So that if that third goal doesn't happen, then without sounding too obvious, it becomes overly nervy, and again, like I said earlier, the atmosphere becomes a bit tense again, and even worse so because you could potentially throw away a 2-0 lead against 10 men. So I mean, conceding an equaliser to 10 men is poor, but giving away a 2-0 lead against 10 men is just ridiculous. So yeah, but you're right. That Cambridge game, like you both have said, it's a good thing to. In some ways, it's a good thing to do that now, where you get it out of your system, and you make these mistakes now, and it's that sort of lesson that if we do finish in the playoffs, looks more likely hopefully it's when, then we have to be switched on more for those type of games. So yeah, it was a very, very key point in the game.
Yeah. Well, it was 6 minutes after Cambridge scored, Dan, that we scored the third, which I think gave everyone a bit more confidence as to how the game was going to go. It was Ross Stewart with his second and 24th of the season. Gooch, who I'm sure we'll get onto at some point, not quite yet, because I'm sure we'll have plenty to say about him, but he gets the ball on the right, just puts a first-time ball in the middle. I think it took a deflection on the way through, but it finds its way to Ross Stewart. Something which hasn't been said enough in recent weeks, I think is fair to say, but he takes the ball down, puts it in the bottom corner, and I think that was the goal that realistically gave everyone the confidence that we're going to go on, we're going to maybe score a couple more in this game, but definitely get the 3 points and Rush Stewart back amongst the goal as well. So that was a very important goal, like Michael said.
Oh yeah, it was a massive goal, and it'll be a great one for him because the first touch was dodgy from Ross Stewart, but the volley was impeccable. The technique was incredible, and that's the type of goal that'll fill you with confidence. For a striker, especially when he's had an 8-goal drought. An 8-match goal drought. Scoring 2 and scoring 1 of that caliber will do him the world of good. And again, it was just Luca 9 was the one that picked the ball up and drove it into the final 18-yard or 20-yard area and passed it out to Lyndon Gooch, who I think Luca 9's performance yesterday went under the radar because of the standout performances from Gooch and Embleton. Luca 9 really, really drove that midfield a lot more than I expected. Because I remember a couple of podcasts ago, I said that we would need to rely more on the technicality of the likes of Daniel, Embleton, Pritchard, etc., to be able to see us through to these playoffs. But Luca 9 showed me exactly why he should be in that midfield, and it's just great that we're getting all of these players coming into form now really affecting games. Because, like you said, that when we scored that third, even Keith Downey said that Sunderland are going to score more. It's just a matter of when, not if. And that's something that we've not done before. Since we've been in League One, we've never looked to punish teams. And like I said before, that's just something we need to do now. Be clinical, punish teams that are down and out so that we can get that goal difference up. And I don't know if that was the message that Alex Neil was trying to put onto the players, that we need the goals or what, but everything just seemed to work yesterday. And I can't even put one down point on any player yesterday, because I thought everyone did a job unbelievably.
Well, it was 3-1 at half-time, Michael, and came out second half, and Nathan Broadhead got a goal. I think that's his 12th of the season, which is quite impressive considering I think it was 3 months or something he spent out with an injury after that Arsenal Cup game. But I think it was 7 or 8 minutes into half again, Lyndon Gooch, nothing silly, just puts a ball in the box. Nathan Broadhead's there in the middle, headed into almost empty net, I suppose is fair to say. But again, just that is the difference for Sunderland. When they keep things simple, they move the ball quickly, they get an early ball into the box, they'll score goals. And there's too many times, especially with Gooch or with Clark or whoever, where they might play that extra pass where they don't need to, or take that extra touch, or try and take on that extra man, as opposed to just keep it simple, get a ball into the box, and we have the players that'll be in the right position at the right time, and they'll score goals from it. And that's pretty much how the entire game went yesterday.
Yeah. Well, we've got the quality to do that, and that's the thing that's always been frustrating sometimes, where you try the extra pass when you just get the ball into the box. And like I said, the cross from Gooch was very, very good. But it's that point in the game where we have the confidence, because at that point, especially when it's 3-1, you're against 10 men, and it's been 3-1 for some time, that Cambridge were very unlikely to get something from the game. So you can have the freedom to sort of take more risks and just get the ball into the box. As I said, the cross was good, the header was good, and it was good just to sort of really put it beyond doubt. Because although obviously we know it's Sunderland, you know exactly what we're capable of half the time. 2 goals up against 10 men, it's unlikely they'll get anything, but you think, oh, there's maybe a half chance there they get the next goal. That game really, like you said, the third and fourth goals really kill it off. And then again, the last half an hour, or when, I can't remember when it was Broadhead scored, but I imagine it was around about the 60th minute, if not a bit before then. You know, that then makes it, turns the rest of the game into how many can we score, as opposed to how many are we going to win by, rather than are we going to win the game.
Yeah. Well, it was 53rd minute that Broadhead scored.
Okay, so not long before. I'll give myself that, 7 minutes.
Yeah, not far off. And it was 5 after 70 minutes. Danny Bart with his first goal since he signed for the club, although technically second, unless you want to forget that Bolton game. But his second headed goal since he signed for Sunderland, I suppose. And again, just very similar to Nathan Broadhead's goal. Nothing stupid, nothing kind of silly. Just a simple ball in the box. Hope someone gets on the end of it, Dan. And Danny Bart was there. Again, just a simple header, a comfortable goal, and just rounded off a pretty good day, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. Great ball in by Luke O'Nien. Someone you wouldn't expect to be whipping a ball in like that. Definitely not. But
I mean, not to ruin your parade, but it was Patrick Roberts, not O'Nien. But I'll let you off.
I'm pretty sure it was Luke O'Nien. I'm 100%
Promise
sure.
you it was Roberts.
I'm going to double check now, because I'm pretty sure it was Luke O'Nien. But no, anyway, whoever whipped the ball in, it was a fantastic cross. But Danny Barth, however you say it,
Yeah.
well, that's another key goal for him. Just getting that goal will give him the confidence that he needs, because I don't know how many other fans think this, but every time Danny Bart's in that centre back place, I am a bit questionable, because he's not had the same amount of games as everyone else. He's been injured, and the last time I saw him, he put a bullet header into his own goal at Bolton away. So it does raise the eyebrows when I see him on the pitch, but every time, see him in the team sheet, but every time that he seems to be on the pitch right now, he's been a brick wall at the centre back with Bailey Wright. And to throw himself at the ball when arguably we don't need a fifth goal. Just shows that everyone's got that determination to keep going, and it's great from him to be able to put the ball in the back of the net, because, like I said, it's just all about confidence now. If everyone's full of confidence, then we can fly, and that's exactly what we need. So honestly, there's nothing. I think the only thing that we could do is get Anthony Patterson a goal, because yesterday it seems like everyone's now on the same page. The whole team is like one united team, rather than a couple of individualists, a couple of key players that we're relying on to pull the reins from other people. Like a couple of years ago, where McGeady, we relied so much on him, we lacked the depth and lacked the confidence in other players on the pitch. Now everyone's on the same page. Everyone's same book, same chapter. Everyone's eating the same bread. Everyone's drinking the same water. It's really starting to show, and we're playing some really, really good football, which is I guess a credit to Alex Neil, because when we lost that 6-0 at Bolton and Lee Johnson's got sacked, most of us were scared for this season because we thought we were going to crumble. But we had a few weeks out, few weeks to write off, but now we're back and better than ever. This is the best I've seen us play since Premier League football, I'd say, because that Championship season was an absolute write-off, and I believe
Wasn't the best.
I'm very confident in this team if we go up as well. I don't think there's too many changes that we need to make, because I'm confident in everyone's ability now. I think I might be one of the most optimistic Sunderland fans there are, but I can't see us getting beaten by anyone. And I strongly believe now that on our day, we're the best team in the league.
Yeah. And just to let you know, I did check that. It was, in fact, Patrick Roberts that got that assist. According to Sky Sports.
I'm going to watch the video. Hold on.
100% Patrick Roberts. I'm looking forward to this one. But while Dan is looking at that, and no doubt serving up a very worthy apology for that one.
Slice of humble pie.
But it finished 5-1, Michael. And obviously the points are important at this stage in the season, but not only that, but that 4-goal difference could be huge as well.
Well, when you look at the sides around us, if I tell you what, I'll very quickly, because I'm so unorganised, try and get the League One table up. But if I'm right, the goal difference it's extremely tight around the teams in the mix for the playoffs. Right, so here we go. So Sheffield and Sunderland have 2 games left. Plymouth and Wickham have 1. So the goal difference: Sunderland 25, Plymouth 25, Wickham 20, Sheffield 24. That alone says to you how you're right. That big increase in goal difference was crucial, because it's obviously an extra point if it goes into your favour, really. So we needed that badly. And actually, out of all of those teams, have we scored the most goals out of us, Plymouth, Wickham, and Sheffield, and all that?
I know I've scored more than Wickham. Because I was listening to BBC Newcastle, and I think we're above them on goals scored. I think. Or was it Plymouth?
Yeah,
we're above a team on goals scored. We've got the same goal difference and same points as Plymouth. Might be them that we have more goals scored.
On goals scored, we're the second highest scorers in the league, joint with Wigan. There's only Oxford
Oxford up there as well? Yeah.
that have scored more goals than us.
Well,
and
yeah. Go on.
I just want to apologise. Yeah, it was Patrick Roberts. I do apologise. Yeah, it was Patrick Roberts. And just before you continue, Michael, that's another key point for Patrick Roberts. Someone who might not have been a talking point for many people, because it doesn't look like he's done a lot recently. But to get an assist behind him and to really start contributing to the team now is vital, because he is a quality player.
Completely agree with that. But as the funny thing is, and right, out of us, Plymouth, yeah, exactly, as Daniel alluded to, with us and Wigan joint second top goal scorers, it just goes to prove that I'm not just someone who goes on about defending and clean sheets for the sake of it, that actually defending and clean sheets is a big part of it, because with that, if we'd scored the amount of goals we have and conceded a lot less, we would be winning the league, I'm telling you. But regardless, yes, we've scored the most goals. In particular for Sunderland, Plymouth, and Wycombe and Sheff Wed, we've scored the most. So Plymouth have scored 68, Wycombe have scored 73, Sheff Wed have scored 71, we've scored 77. Although we have conceded the most out of them, but most of them I think would have been probably about 40 to 43 of them or whatever would have been before Alex Neil came in. So for context, to go back to the original point, goal difference is a vital component in this, and we just have to make sure that it's in our own hands with the last two games. Obviously, we've got Rotherham next at home and Morecambe away, so it's well within our own hands. But if we do end up say getting 4 points out of these next two, well, actually not even 3 points. If we win one game like convincingly, then that might very well be enough alone to see us.
Preferably the Rotherham one.
I mean, that would be nice, wouldn't it? It would be nice to get it sealed.
Don't fancy waiting to the last kick of the season.
Well, to be honest, if you just get 4 points out of these next two for me, then that's good enough because it keeps the unbeaten run going, and I know some people say we need 6, but for me 4 points doesn't exactly halt the momentum. So I'd like 6, but anyway, I'm rambling again. Yes, goal difference could be crucial.
6 points, we get top 2.
I was just saying Daniel will start on that. He's going to get me convinced by the end, I'm telling you.
Yeah, we'll leave that one there. And we're going to play ratings.
Actually,
Michael,
I'm going to throw Daniel on the bus here. He was in the group chat we have on Twitter. He was going during the game. He put in capital letters, Oxford are winning. Results are going in our favour. Like, don't.
Not yet. But anyway, player ratings. Patterson had nothing to do in the game but collect a corner or two maybe. So 6, Michael.
I was waiting for the standard 6, but yes, you're right. Yeah, it was probably one of his quietest.
Luckily, I don't think there's going to be too many 6s today.
No, but this is probably one of the most lowest rated players, and for Patterson, that's a good thing. So, 6. Just unfortunate to probably concede in some ways. That defending was more at fault for that, but otherwise had barely anything to do. So, standard 6.
Yeah, Dan.
I'm gonna say 7 because I think 6 is too low for anyone on the pitch.
Turn in Adam.
7 is I think the not done anything but done everything you need to for me. Very strong with crosses, very confident coming out of his box, very good distribution. I'd say a 7.
Yeah. Carl Winchester obviously started the game but barely played because he did go off an injury. So instead of him, we'll say Callum Doyle, who played on the left side of a back 3, really, Michael. So I'd probably go with a 7 for Callum Doyle. Got forward quite well. Obviously, he was the one that won the free kick for Embleton's goal. Possibly a little bit, and I say a little bit, suspect for their goal. Obviously, it was down his side that it came from, but ultimately, he hasn't played for a few weeks or possibly months, to be honest. It feels like it's been ages since I've seen him play. But again, just 7.
I'm pretty sure the last time he played was probably Burton, MK Dons, or Wimbledon, like when Alex Neil very first came in. But I would agree with that. I think that obviously the only thing he did wrong for me was I think he got beaten too easily down his side for the run that led to their goal. But otherwise, we've got to remember that he's a young kid. He came on when he wasn't expecting to play most of the game. Yeah. We didn't foresee Carl Winchester going off less than a quarter of an hour into the match. But when he came on, very good. Won the free kick, kept it steady, joined the attacks when he could. And to be fair,
I think that role suits him very much more than a centre back as well. Obviously, he was playing as a centre back, but when Sunderland play this back 3, especially at home, in games like this against Cambridge or whoever, where they're going to dominate possession, they're not really going to have too much defending to do. Callum Doyle's a defender that will get forward and will get forward quite efficiently,
and he'll have the youthful energy to be able to do that effectively. So. But as I said, 7 I think is a very fair result. And to be honest, if he's in that position, well, we don't know what's happening with Winchester, but if he plays in that position for the rest of the season, I actually wouldn't complain too much.
Yeah, Dan.
Yeah, I agree. We saw the reason Callum Doyle started every week. Yesterday, I thought he had a really good performance, and it's so nice to see a centre back that's so confident in going forward.
Yeah.
And has the ability to go forward and play the forward passes as well. 7 because I think he could play a big part in the next 4 or 5 games.
Yeah. Billy Wright, your favourite player, probably of all time at this point, Michael.
Since we've dropped into League One, probably, yeah.
Just 7. Did everything well. Had little defending to do. Did nothing wrong.
it's just the standard Bailey Wright performance, the calming influence. I feel so smug when I see posts on Twitter going that Bailey Wright. I think someone put Bailey Wright unsung hero in recent weeks. It's like, that's why I rate him, because he keeps a lot of it sounds so simple, but oh my god, if you have a defender at the back who is experienced as he is, who is no nonsense as he is, who leads with authority as he does, it makes a massive difference defensively to the team. And for me, Bailey Wright's a big reason since Alex Neil's come in that we've tightened up and stopped conceding so many daft goals. Yeah, okay, Shrewsbury that was just a freak game, I think. And the goal yesterday was a freak occurrence. But yeah, yesterday, again, a good 7. Didn't have as much to do, but when he did have to defend, when he had to command things, he just kept it simple and did it very well.
Yeah, done.
Yeah, I agree with Michael. Bailey Wright's also my favourite player. Coming from a centre back.
Welcome to the club, Daniel. Welcome to the club.
Yeah, I've been a big Bailey Wright fan since he joined the club. I love him. He was a player that I met at the training ground and spent a lot of time with. Really good guy as well.
Football friends.
But yeah, I think at one point in yesterday's game, I saw him on the edge of the 18-yard box, playing the ball out wide. So it's nice to see that he's getting forward as well in times like this. And he's confident playing the ball out from the back and driving it forward as well as Colin Doyle. And honestly, I am gagging for a Jordan Willis and Bailey Wright centre-back partnership next year.
Yeah.
Is that in the Championship, Daniel?
Of course, it's in the Championship, Michael. We're not going to be anywhere else.
Hopefully not.
Fingers
Hopefully
crossed.
not. Danny Barr last of the back 3. Again, similar to Doyle, right? Had a little defending to do, but did it well when he did, and obviously got the goal. So I'd probably give him a +1, so I'll go 8, Michael.
Oh, I was going to go 7 because I don't like ranking him higher than Bailey Wright. But yeah, I think you've got to get, to be fair, similar as you said, didn't have much to do and got himself a goal. So he does have that slight edge over the other 2.
Yeah, done.
Yeah, I can't disagree. Solid performance.
Yep. Lyndon Gooch, probably the most frustrating player someone have ever had in recent years.
Kyle's going to be listening to this.
Kyle's going to be listening, and before Dan goes on a rant, I'm going to start, because I know Dan thinks Lyndon Gooch is absolutely untouchable at this football club, which yesterday I would agree with. I think he was probably the best player on the pitch, him and Embleton, who else we'll get on to. Did nothing that you used to seeing from Gooch in terms of trying to beat the same man 6 times. Kept it simple, played a simple pass, just put a ball in the box. As soon as he got the ball, his first thought was, how can I get this ball in the box? He did it multiple times and we scored a few goals from it. I think there was one shot that he had that went just wide of the post as well. I could be wrong on that. It might have been someone else, but I think it was Gooch. So I'll start with you, Michael. Don't think you could really go with less than a 10, really.
Ooh, it's a funny one. I would probably go with a 9.
That's Paul.
I don't know. I'm trying to think what. Sorry?
That's Paul. That's Paul. That's Paul. Give him a 9. That's Paul. That's shocking.
Fine. An 8.
Anything less than an 11 for Dan would probably be poor.
Well. Okay. In which case, yeah. The thing is, yesterday had a very, very good game. I agree with you. Now, if he had that more consistently, I wouldn't be on his back so much. Like I said loads of times, and I'm keep defending myself here. His work rate is impeccable. I absolutely adore it. If he just didn't learn to try and think that he's the Messi of League One, then I think we would have a real player on our hands. But you could argue he wouldn't be in League One, would he? So yeah, I would say, and I don't think he was quite the best player on the pitch, but he was definitely up there with one of the best. So Kyle, Kyle, for you, here's Daniel's speech on your behalf of Lyndon Gooch. Go on.
Yeah, I'm just going to worry you. I have uni work to do today, Dan, so keep this relatively short.
I can't believe that is that I've just heard that Lyndon Gooch wasn't the best player on the pitch yesterday. No, I just want to say, anyone that wants to chat shit about Lyndon Gooch, I'm glad you're sat down and shut up now after that performance. That is the Lyndon Gooch that I know and love. That is the reason I back him 100% week in, week out. Every day of the week, I back Lyndon Gooch. And he showed it yesterday. He had that fullback on strings 90 minutes. He beat him left, he beat him right. He used his left foot, he used his right foot. Every single ball into the box turned to gold. It found a player. Every dribble got past that player. And honestly, he was untouchable. That's one of the best individual performances I've seen in a very long time from any player. Just the way he pulled the strings and his quality is something that we've missed dramatically in that final third in recent weeks, and it put Jack Clark to shame. His performance, and showed exactly why Linda Gooch should be playing higher up the pitch, which I've argued for a long time. I still think he can do it in that number 10, number 7 or 11 role. Left wing, right wing, cam. He could play it anywhere, and that was the Linda Gooch that I know will beat any defender in this league comfortably. So yeah, that's got to be like an 11 or 12 out of 10 performance. He was a man of the match by an absolute marathon.
Yeah. First of all, Daniel, you didn't disappoint there. I'm glad you said it like that, as passionately as you did. But secondly, just out of interest, then, why do you think Gooch doesn't play like that more consistently? Because even you have to admit he hasn't been as consistent as he could have been.
Well, when you're a right winger or a left winger or a cam, as someone who's used to playing in a forward position, what do you expect when his job is a right back at the moment? He's not been able to. The reason he's not been able to play in his natural position is because we don't have anyone else that I would back enough, or Alex Neil doesn't back enough to do a job in fullback.
No, I'm not talking when he's right back though. I'm talking when he's specifically a winger.
Because he hardly gets the opportunity to be a winger at the moment, and he's not had the chance to be an out-and-out winger in quite a few games, if not months, consistently. And when you've got the stadium booing him off the pitch or cheering that he's substituted, that can't help your confidence either. But we saw that he was given that trust to be that right winger yesterday, to be high up the pitch, and he showed exactly what he can do. And it was a great day for him.
Are we done?
I would say that my only thing with that is that having watched Lyndon Gooch for 4 seasons, he has been nowhere near that consistent over the last 4 years.
I'd argue the first season he was.
Well, okay, I'll give you that. The first 6 months of the first season, he was epic. I'll give him that.
And I think if you were gonna label a time that he did start to go backwards was, to be honest, when he had a kid. I think it was realistically.
Which, to be fair, is a big life. I'll give him that. That's a big life change, to be fair to him.
And injury. He was knocked out for a long time with injuries, and it's been a niggle that's caught up with him for the last couple of years, where he's played a couple of games and had to go off again. And even the start of this year, he's been injury-ridden this year. But he looks finally to be back at his full potential, exactly when we need him as well.
Yeah.
Daniel, I'll tell you right
now. Unfortunately, it only took 4 years, but...
I'll tell you what then, to end the Lyndon Gooch thing, right? Daniel, if he scores the winner in the playoff final, I will retract every criticism I've had of him. There you go.
Will you get a Lyndon Gooch tattoo if he scores the playoff final winning goal?
Oh, now you've put me on the spot. As if a real one, absolutely not. Fake one, yes. I'm gonna pussy out.
Boo.
It was a very long Lyndon Gooch segment, so I'm going to quickly move on before Dan goes on another rant about Lyndon Gooch. I'm going to go straight on to Corey Evans, and I'm going to say 7 out of 10, Dan. Michael, sorry, 7 out of 10 for Corey Evans. It was a game that Cambridge didn't really offer anything, so he didn't have too much to do, but the bits that he did well. So yeah, 7.
Agreed. Been much improved in recent weeks, and that is actually starting to show his worth to the team. I think there's always definitely been uses for him. At the start of the season, he was good. And I think the issue is just the captaincy thing. But again, that's not his fault. That's Lee Johnson's fault more than anything. So, yeah, 7, I would say. Good, solid, steady, kept it simple, kept it ticking over. And sometimes you need players like that in a team.
Yeah, just a reminder, Dan, this is Corey Evans.
Yeah, Corey Evans.
No one else.
Really showing his worth to the team now. I'm glad he's silencing the people everyone that doubted him, because the whole Sunderland fan base, including myself, did doubt him in the last couple of months. But he's really showing his experience now, and this is exactly what we need for these younger lads. And yeah, it was nice to be able to rest him as well for the massive game on Tuesday. So yeah, I'd say he's a 7 out of 10, and I'd just like to say Lyndon Gooch is also only 26 as well, so he's still got years to go.
still managed to get back to Lyndon Gooch. Amazing.
Well, we'll
Luke,
wait and see about him.
we will. Luke on 9, Michael, probably go with 8. Obviously, it was his kind of second ball win / getting the ball kicked off his head that led to the penalty in the first half. Just, linked up well. Always trying to get on the ball. Lots of energy. Never stopped running. Never stopped chasing the ball down. So I'd probably go with 8.
Yeah. Does the dogged stuff that I think goes very unnoticed.
I still think he is the most underappreciated player.
Yeah.
In the team.
Well, to kind of, I think the players like him, and as much as I've just criticised him, Gooch, I think they do the dogged stuff that I think a lot of people. I know I'm going to contradict myself with Gooch here a little bit, but the dogged stuff that people do goes so underappreciated in a lot of ways because you can't just have all the flashy players that do everything without players that are going to keep it simple and do the dogged work. You need that in the team. Every successful team has players like that. And I think Luke O'Nien, look, for me, his best position has been predominantly at right back, but that's because he's been played there most of, you know what I mean? But to be fair, recently he's started to show he gets on the end. Like if you look at goal against Fleetwood, goal against Fleetwood as an example recently, he anticipates the ball deflecting to him. He gets into the forward runs, and he made things in a lot of ways. He also helped make things happen yesterday. So yeah, 8 can't complain.
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, I agree with exactly everything Michael said. Luke O'Nien is, like you said, Josh, really massively underappreciated. And I think I said it in a couple of podcasts ago that he is the most unorthodox footballer I've ever seen in my life. He does stuff that you don't expect him to do, and he's a lot.
I think a lot of people as well don't give O'Nien enough credit for the ability that he does actually have. People say he's not a good footballer. He's just there and he smiles and he put tackles in, but he controls the ball very well. You can play them first time passes very well. I think it was his pass to Gooch that set up Stewart's second goal. That it's not a simple pass. It has to be perfectly weighted. It was a very good ball through to Gooch, and he does that a lot. He's always in the right position. He can play anywhere. There's a lot of criticism that he gets that just isn't true.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Because he's not technical, because he can't do 10 step overs and take on 8 players and pick that pinball pass, eye of the eagle stuff like Pritchard's. People love to hate him because he's not a pretty footballer, but he's exactly the kind of centre midfielder we need. And yeah, I'll eat my words. A couple of podcasts ago, I said we can't rely on just his work ethic to get us through, but and we need to rely more on technical and skilled players like Daniel, like Matete, like Embleton, etc. But he's made me eat my words in the last couple of games, and he's proven to be why Alex Neil's got such a hard midfield selection crisis. And that's a good thing to have. Just I wouldn't want to be him because we know that we've got five top quality centre midfielders that can play either position in the centre midfield and do a really good job as well. So we're in a great place with that. The only thing I would say is I don't want to see Luke O'Nien on left mid again or left wing again ever in my life. So
the thing with O'Nien as well is that, and you've got to look at it this way: Jack Ross kept playing him, Phil Parkinson kept playing him, Lee Johnson kept playing him, Alex Neil's kept playing him recently. There must be a reason for that.
Yeah. We'll rattle through these last few pretty quickly because we are getting on for time. Elliot Embleton we'll go with next. Michael, again, I'd probably just go with a 10. I think, like you said, him and Gooch were definitely the two best players on the pitch for me. Took his goal well, whether you want to believe he meant it or not. I'm going to say he did, just because why not? But he played quite deeper, and I think it suits him because he can pick the ball up. And one thing that I noticed about him yesterday especially was, unlike a lot of players that we've had and still have now, when he receives the ball, he already knows what's around him. He'll look before he gets the ball, so he knows, who's where the opposition are, where he can turn into, and he does it every single time. He'll get the ball, he knows where he can go, he'll drive forward with it, he can hit it with his left, he can hit it with his right, he can play a through pass, he can play it over the top, he can do literally anything. And like I said before, he's been out of the team for a while, he's had a point of proof to get back into the team. He's certainly done that, and probably playing the best football he's played now.
Yeah, I would go with a 10 as well. I think for me, the thing that for me made Embleton man of the match was he was the literal architect of majority of what's obviously not the only one. A lot of people contributed, but he was the main architect for me of what everything we were doing going forward. Controlled the midfield, kept the ball simple, made a through pass when he had to. He pretty much most of his decision making was really bang on the money for me. And obviously the free kick. You know what? I'm going to say he meant it just because I'm deluded. So and besides, you wouldn't fancy getting Elliot Embleton to admit he didn't. It didn't mean that whatsoever. But like I said, I sense Elliot Embleton, like he did at Blackpool last year, is contributing key things at key times at exactly the same point in the season as last year, which means hopefully we win the playoffs and go up.
Yeah, hopefully so. Dan?
Yeah, I agree. He's shown why he was so crucial to Blackpool last year. And to have a 2-footed attacker is a really vital thing. Not many players are 2-footed, and
it's quite rare, isn't it?
Yeah, that's something that he provides, which no one else really can. My biggest criticism of him earlier in the season was he's a confidence player, so when it's not going for him, he'll give up easily. But we're seeing that when the pressure's on him, when Alex Neil's relied on him to pull something out the bag in the last 10 minutes of a game, he's done it. And now when he's starting, he's impacting the game on big levels. He's undroppable at the moment, and this is a reason he was an England international. Earlier in his career, he's starting to show the quality that he does have, and he'll be a vital player next year, whichever league we're in.
Yeah. Patrick Roberts-Michael probably go then 7/8. Obviously got the assist, try to make things happen. Didn't do anything wrong in the game, just a lot of the play just didn't happen to fall down his side. But that's just kind of how we played the game.
Yeah.
From start to finish, really. But when he did have the ball, created things. Had one good effort saved. I think it was in the first half actually, where he cut inside on his right. It was a good save. Probably could do a little bit better, but yeah, 7/8 maybe.
I was debating between the two. I'd probably still go with a 7 just because he should have scored that chance for me.
Yeah.
But you know what? I might give him an 8 just because it caused a funny argument between you two. That's the level I'm going to.
Interesting. Dan? As a reminder, we got the assist, by the way, just in case you forgot about that one.
You had to mention that, didn't you?
No, I'll give him an 8 because he's really starting to show why he's such a quality player, and he'll be a big player for us come the playoffs. And why he's a very rated player as well. Off the pitch, he's a class act as well. When he was asking to play for the under-23 so he could get his match fitness up, because remember he came into this club only played one game in 7 months or something. I can't remember what it was, but he was severely unmatch fit, and he's really starting to show his worth now with the assist as well. The great ball into the box, really causing problems for defenders. Yeah, he should have scored that goal, but it's showing that he's making these chances, which is something we need, because we could have as many chances as possible, and the odds are with us to at least convert one of them. So
yeah,
I don't care if he creates 20 chances and gets 1 assist, or 50 chances and 1 assist, or 1 goal. That's still more. That's still providing problems, and I think he'll be a crucial player. So yeah, 8 out of 10.
Agreed.
Yep.
No. Yeah.
Nathan Broadhead, Michael probably going 8. Took was going well, and we kind of missed him a little bit when he went off. He went off at 4-1, I think it was. The game was kind of wrapped up, so I understand why he went off. But when he went off, movement changed a little bit, and you could see how much he offered to the game, even when he wasn't actually directly involved.
See, for me, I think Nathan Broadhead was one of the most unsung players yesterday. I think I would probably go as far as a 9. I think Broadhead was really, really good, and it just shows the class that he's got. And I think has he also got one of the best goal conversion rates in the league? Because I'm sure he's got some like 20 appearances.
Yeah, it'll be. I think it was 106. Well, before yesterday's goal, it was something like 116 minutes per goal.
Something like well, there you go, and you can just tell if you just watch him, you can tell.
I'm not sure if that was in the league or just in all competitions, but I know it was something like that.
Either way, it's impressive.
Yeah.
If you just watch him, you know that he shouldn't be in this division. To be fair, I'm actually agree with the decision to take Broadhead off because he's still obviously coming back from a semi-long-term injury, and obviously when you 4-1 up at that point against 10 men, when the game is very much done, get him off, Ratman Cotton home, save him for a big game on Tuesday night.
Yeah. Dan?
Yeah, I agree. We have to sign him in summer. I don't care
Yeah.
how much he costs. We have to sign him because
Spot on.
he's showing that he is a class above League One. You can see that he has come up through the Premier League for a reason. And yeah, Michael, he scored in the league. He scored 9 goals in 18 games. Overall, he scored 12 in 23 for us.
So he's
this
basically nearly hit. Sorry, Dan. So basically, he's nearly hit double figures despite being out injured for 3 months and had injury figures at the start of the season. That's very good.
Yeah, it's. I think it's a goal every 116 minutes, like you said, Josh. Yeah, for him. So he is one of the best forwards we've had in a long time, I'd say. What he can do, because he can do it in the air. He's not the tallest. He can do it in the air. He can do it on the floor. His technique is second to none. It's some of the best striking technique I've seen in a long time. And he has to be number one priority for summer, regardless of the league, because he will get snapped up if we don't get him, and we can't afford that. So yeah, I thought he had quite a quiet game yesterday. I didn't see too much of him, but like you said, he's unsung. So he does the bits that you don't need to really care about. He gets all the passes right. He does all the hard work, which does go unnoticed because you just expect that. But because he does it with such quality, we don't need to keep an eye on him for all of that. But yeah, I'd say 8 out of 10 again.
Yeah, and last but not least, Ross Stewart, 2 goals, took the penalty well. Probably could have done with him in the Chelsea side today. Probably not seen it yet, but Jorginho with one of the worst penalty misses I've ever seen. Quite a horrendous penalty that he's just taken. Chelsea did go 1-0 up anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But absolutely shocking penalty that. Ross Stewart, much better than Jorginho. Ballon d'Or next season. Or Ballon d'Or nominee, I should say. If Jorginho can do it, why can't he? But anyway, 9 out of 10, I'd probably say, Michael. 2 goals. I think there was once where Pritchard obviously came on, could have played him in, decided to go for the shot instead. Probably could have had a hat-trick if he played it to Stewart. And I think a very similar one where Stewart was the one goal, could have had a hat-trick, but played it back to someone who didn't quite get there. So he is sometimes too unselfish, I think, as a striker. But that's what it is. So 9 out of 10.
Agreed. And I can't disagree with anything you've said. And the thing I'll add to that is we need to hopefully get at least another goal in the next 2 games because you want
he has to finish top scorer.
You want a fit, firing, and confident Ross Stewart ahead of the playoffs. That could be the difference.
Yeah. I think he's 1 above Will Keane, I think, in the race for the top scorer. Both teams have 2 games left.
Now. Yeah.
Yeah, so hat-trick against Rotherham, hat-trick against Morecambe. Sunderland finished second. Ross Stewart finishes on 30 for the season.
Now you're talking.
Love it.
Now you're talking.
No, one thing about Ross Stewart yesterday as well is that's probably one of the brightest I've seen him play. A lot of the time he's not had great service, so he's had scraps to feed on. And when he's had the ball, his touch might let him down or he might make the wrong decision. In the last 8 games when he's had the goal drought. But yesterday he seemed so alive. He seemed so forward thinking and so active. He really looked back to his informed self again. And like we saw with his second finish, that was really high quality finish. And considering we picked him up as a backup striker, he's really shown his worth now this season. And I think whichever league we find ourselves in, he'll be another one that can step up.
Yeah.
The thing with that finish as well is that even though the first touch wasn't exactly the best, that he's volleyed it, basically or drilled it before the ball even hits the ground. That's how good a finish it was.
Yeah. Well, man of the match, I'm just going to ignore because Michael quite clearly went with Embleton. And quite frankly, if I asked Dan who was man of the match, we'd be here for another hour, I think. So
I would like you can forfeit and give it to Gooch if you want. I'm in a generous mood.
We'll forfeit and give it.
Gooch yesterday. Embleton on another day that would be a man of the match from him, but yeah, Gooch yesterday all day long.
I'm more saying that for Kyle. Really, I think Kyle will appreciate it.
I'm sure we will. But Rotherham on Tuesday, game that was obviously rearranged, and Probably rearranged at a good time, to be honest. I think Rotherham were in good form at the time when we were due to play them. They're obviously kind of dropping out of form now. They did win against Oxford yesterday, so their bad run is somewhat over, but they're still not in the best form that they'd probably like to be in at this stage of the season, especially given how close it is, especially at top three. And it looked like they were going to run away with the league, and they certainly aren't anymore. But it'll be a tough game, a game that both sides need to not lose as opposed to win, I would say, like Michael said earlier. But predictions for it, Michael?
It's a funny one. Oxford, put it this way, Rotherham beat Ipswich at the Easter weekend and then went and followed it up with an away loss at Burton. And they've won. And yesterday they won, but their winning goal was a penalty. I know it counts. You've still got to score it still, but
yeah, 3 points are 3 points.
Yeah, it is a big 3 points for them. To be fair, that it probably helped us because it's put Oxford out a bit. So it's one less team we have to worry about. I would say probably a draw. I'd say 1-1. And I think although a win would be huge if we could get it, I think we need to at least avoid defeat tomorrow. And I don't think it would be the end of the world if we just didn't lose it. But a win would be huge.
Well, I'm going with 5-0, to be honest. So, Dan?
Dan, if you don't give a speech while we're getting second here, I'm annoyed.
My heart's telling me it'll be 2-0 Sunderland, but the optimism inside of me saying it'll be 3-0 Sunderland. I think we're gonna get a huge result tomorrow, Tuesday. Sorry, maybe one that people don't expect us to get, but I think we'll pull it out of the bag. And then on to Morecambe, and honestly, you never know. The goal difference is on the up. MK Dons have got Plymouth. We beat Rotherham.
Well, I think a 5-0 win against Rotherham would guarantee playoffs for Sunderland, and it would make a very interesting watch against Morecambe. Exactly. It would make a very interesting final
with
day.
MK Dons and us beating Rotherham. I tell you what, we could be an outside chance. We're that horse in the.
I wonder what the odds are on Sunderland finishing top 2 now. Might have to have a look afterwards.
with that horse in the Grand National that got written off completely and went on to win it.
Well, hopefully I'm not betting on it because I'd never win bets on the Grand National ever. So I'm gonna.
I suppose as well with Rotherham, you could say that we kind of owe them one for the reverse fixture as well.
And remember last time we got hammered away from home, we absolutely hammered the team that hammered us at home, 5-0. So
exactly.
You never know.
So, well, I tell you what, we're outside chance of top 2.
A 6-0 win would be even better because then we'd automatically have better goal difference than them.
Joe, to be fair, Daniel is that optimistic that if we drew on Tuesday, he'd still find a way of thinking, well, they might get deducted points for something dodgy and we'll still finish second.
No, unfortunately, MK Dons have hit the limit where we can't get any more points. We just have to hope they lose quite bad and we win quite comfortably.
But at home, there's no reason why we can't beat Rotherham. I will put that out there.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll be back to talk about the Rotherham game, or someone will be, on hopefully Wednesday, possibly Thursday. But I'm sure we will be talking about it on Sunday in this next week. And then obviously Morecambe on Saturday, which I'll podcast out on Sunday, to celebrate our achievement of automatic promotion on Sunday. And Ross Stewart's 30-goal season after he bags 2 hat-tricks in the next 2 games. Neither are probably going to happen, but we can hope. But that is the time for today. Appreciate you both coming on again.
Thank you very much for having me.
But we'll be back to talk about the next 2 games. There'll be plenty of stuff out on Twitter to kind of get you up for the Rotherham game on Tuesday. But until then, we'll see you.
That's all, folks.